Okay, so I I feel like I've been getting the same question a lot, so I'm like, let me just go on live and explain it. Cause I was trying to explain on my story, but then my story ended up being super long, and I'm like, no. Let me just go on this group. So my client, right, just got the phone with her. Before she met me, he had a APR rate on an auto loan, 21.53%. And if y'all know what APR is, which is your annual percentage rate, that's your annual amount of interest, right? So if you break that up into 365 days, it'll tell you what your interest is daily. That's how you calculate simple interest. Now, simple interest loans are complex in a way because not everybody understands how they work, right? When you go get a car note at the dealership or what, you take out a loan, all you know is you got to pay your car note on this day and this day and this amount. But what you don't always consider is like, okay, what happens if I pay late? Okay, so what are the late fees? Okay, do I have a grace period? Some people don't even know their APR rate. So these things, if you don't ask, if you don't look into it, most people don't even look at their contract, right? Like if you got an auto loan right now, tell me where your contract is. I'll wait. Either you're going to have a retail installment contract, which is a loan, that's a car note, or a lease agreement. A lease is a rental. You have it for 2 or 3 years. You return it back to the dealership. You got to turn it back to the dealership in great condition, or they will charge you for excess wear and tear and over mileage. You're only allowed to use a certain amount of mileage each year. With that being said, if you are the type of person with, most people with lease vehicles have excellent credit and can afford to trade their vehicle in every 2-3 years. It's a costly expense. But if you like driving new cars, that's the pros of it. But if you're financially savvy, it's probably not the best investment, right? It's not unless you making money off of it. But that's for another day. We strictly talking about just like how this type of stuff works. So with a retail installment contract, you got a car note, regular car note. You're paying down the principal balance. You have a principal balance, and you agreed to pay a certain amount of interest on that principal. The more you pay the principal down, the less interest you pay over time. So on a simple interest loan, whenever you pay early, right, you pay less interest. Whenever you pay late, you pay more interest. So the goal is to pay off the loan as soon as possible to avoid paying interest at all. Most of the time, you already know what your finance charge is going to be. If you took out a car loan for $30K, the interest on that car going to be, let's say, $10,000, right? If you go and extend that loan, right? Let's say you do a payment extension, because some of these lenders will offer you payment extension. They say, oh yeah, we'll stop your payment. We'll put it at the back end. But if you don't read the fine print, and if you don't ask, and if you don't speak to the right representative, they won't always explain to you, especially on a simple interest loan. On a simple interest loan, a car note, a retail installment contract, stick with me, a car note, whenever you extend your payment, interest still accrues. Some lenders charge fees on top of the interest. So that means that even though you're skipping a payment or two and putting it on the back of your loan, interest is still accruing. That means by the time you make your next payment, the payment amount still stays the same, but the amount of money that would have went to a principal now goes to interest. So you sticking with me, right? What that means is on the back end of the loan, right, your final payment, that principal still going to be there, right? It ain't going nowhere. So unless you pay early or ahead, or you pay on the back end on the principal, that balance is going to be left on your final payment. Now, your lender is supposed to explain this to you or put it in writing. You might not have paid attention because you're just looking for relief. Most people just want relief. They're not trying to hear all that. What do I sign? Give me the fucking paper. Excuse my language. Give me the paper so I can sign. I can't afford this payment right now, right? And granted, some people do this before they get late. Very responsible. Before you know you're going to get into a financial hardship, call them people. Don't wait till you late. Don't wait till you 2, 3 months, 4, 5 months. Don't wait till they about to repossess the car. A payment extension needs to be used strategically, only when necessary, not to be abused. I'm saying this because I'm not only speaking from experience for myself personally, but also from other people telling me their experience. And because I work in auto industry, like, come on, like, it's something that most people don't pay attention to. So when you get that extension on that payment, right? And your final payment comes up on that loan, you're going to be looking at your bill like, why is my bill so high for my last payment? And it's because you extended the loan. Remember, when you pay early, you pay less interest. When you pay late, you pay, I hope I said that right, you pay more interest. So with that being said, when you extend the payment, yes, you're skipping it now, but it's going to cost you more money in the long run. So you either need to factor that in or pay ahead, pay that loan off early. Now for leases, right, when you got a lease vehicle and you get a payment pushed back, that's called a lease deferral. In most situations, you're deferring it, which means it's not like a payment extension. With an extension, you're extending out your loan. With a deferral, you're just delaying it, and you're going to pay it later all at once, right? So on your lease, you have a final payment, one. But if you defer 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 months through the course of the lease, all of those payments become due at one time. And that's called a balloon payment, right? So let's say your monthly payment is $350 for your lease. But you extended or deferred, I'm sorry, now I'm confusing the words. You deferred 2 payments. So now instead of paying $350 on your last lease payment, you're paying $350 plus another $350 plus another $350. So instead of your last lease payment being $350, it's going to be like $1,000. You see what I'm saying? And you got to pay that right away. And then a month later, you probably got to turn it in. And when you turn it in, you got to get an inspection. And when they do the inspection, they're going to check the mileage. And they're going to check the wear and tear. They're going to check all of that. And you might have to pay for that. So all of these fees that y'all don't think about. When you go in the car lot and you look at the car, and you're like, oh, I want this one. Think about everything, right? Yeah, you're going to be driving this car. Yeah, you should like the car. Yes, it should be like reliable. But what about the financial aspects of it? How much are you going to be paying for this car? How much is it going to be worth in 3, 4, 5 years? Me personally, I don't like cars because they decrease in value. I feel like it's the worst investment ever. I think it's the Dave Ramsey in me. But I don't feel like everybody thinks that way. So if you want to drive a luxury car or if you want a fleet of cars, if that works for you, great. The whole point is you want to get the best deals, the best rate. The only way to get the best deal and the best rate is to have credit. You can talk about down payments all the time. But ultimately, a down payment is just putting money into the pockets of the salesperson at that time. Whenever you give them a down payment, basically all they're doing is dividing that by the month of the term. So if you got a 72-month term loan and you put down $500, I want you to do the math. You want to do 500 divided by 12. How much is that? Hold on, let me on the phone. $500, not 12. $500 divided by 72. That's $7. So you just brought your car note down by $7 a month by putting a $500 down payment. Now, to somebody, that might be a fucking lifesaver. But for most, a $8 coffee is not going to fucking make or break you on your car note. So putting a down payment makes no sense. And it's only required when the salesperson wants to make money up front or you're a risky consumer, right? So let's say they're like, your car note is going to be $750 a month. You walk in there with a $580. Okay, we could get you a car note. It's going to be $750 a month. You're like, oh, hell no, I can't pay $750 a month. How can I bring my car note down? They're like, well, you could do a down payment. Let's say you want to get your car note down to $500. Like I just did the math on the other one. Think about it. So that means you want to bring it down $200. That's 200 times 72. That's $14,000. So you got to put a down payment of $14,000 to get your car note where you want it to be. So whenever somebody starts talking about a down payment, it's one of two things. Either your credit is bad or the salesperson wants to put money in their pocket today. It's not a requirement. You don't have to put a down payment. The way that it impacts you is your month-to-month costs. Like I just broke it down. If you have a 72-month loan, however much your down payment is, you divide that by 72, and that's how much you're bringing it down per month. So $7 is not much. If you're not putting a couple thousand down on a down payment, it's not really doing much for you as a consumer. You might think it is, but I'm telling you, it's not. I see it all the time. So don't go in there thinking with the idea that you're going to do a down payment. If you got to do a down payment, you probably shouldn't be getting a car unless you need it. Whenever you go in there too, right? You go into the dealership, you got to know what car you want. You can't go in there like, oh, I'm finna buy whatever they give me. Because then you're being sold. You don't want to be sold. You want to tell them what you want, right? I want I want this car this year, used or old, used or new, whatever the case may be. You know what car you want. You know how much money you got, what you can afford. Not today, but 5 years from now, because people make that mistake. Oh, I had a really good job. My job was paying this. Woo, woo. I don't got that job no more. I can't afford these payments. But you didn't factor that in. You just thought, and maybe it's just I don't know. With me, I could never. I don't. I just can't. I can't be in a position where I cannot maintain something. So if somebody come to me telling me what they finna give me, oh, I know me personally, you're not gonna just give me anything. I know what I need. That's how you gotta walk in the dealership. Can't nobody tell you who you are or what you want or what you need. You know what the fuck you want. And you know exactly what you're gonna walk out of there with. And you gotta go in there like, look, if you ain't gonna give me what I want, I'm gone. Period. You can't be desperate, in search, in need, like, then that's when you get finesse. Cause think about it, the dealership that's a store. They there to sell to you. That's a store. You're walking into a store, a retail store. The salesperson is banking on you purchasing with them. So whether or not you wanted this car, in their mind, if this car been on their lot for this many months, they need to get it off their lot. What do you think they're gonna do when they see your desperate ass? Not saying you desperate, but if you go in there desperate, what you think they're gonna do to a desperate ass person who desperately needs a car? They're gonna give them that car, whether that person wants it or not, whether the person can afford it or not, whether the person even can fucking maintain the car or not. So with that being said, I'm not saying every dealership is like that, but majority of them are. And if y'all know the economy is real bad right now. Well, quote unquote, this is what people say. I don't believe it, but that's what people say because of all these tariffs. I don't believe it. But if you think that the dealership ain't finna look at you like a sale, you're kidding. Bro, you already losing. You got to go in there like, hey, this what I want to buy. This how much money I got. If y'all ain't willing to sell me this amount for this APR, I'm finna go to the next dealership. And you got to literally be willing to walk the fuck out. Don't spend hours there. When you spend hours at the dealership, guess what? That wears your mental down. You don't even have the energy to go back and forth with them. You ready to go. You ready to get the fuck out ASAP with your car. You ready to ride off. It's emotional. It's psychological. And they know that. And they play on that. Some of them do. Not all. So if you walk in the bank with cash, like, look, I got $40,000 right now. I don't even need nobody to finance me. I want this car right now. I'm finna pay cash. What you think they're gonna say? Now, granted, some people might push back, but for the most part, okay, cool. Pay it. But most people don't have that audacity. Most people walk in there like, I don't know what I'm gonna get. Oh, I don't know. My credits, it look like no. You got to know who you talking to. That's why it's good. If you're gonna be the type of person that lease vehicles or you like to buy cars, you gotta find somebody that you could build a relationship with, that you could trust. Because that's what finances come down to. We're working with people you trust. That's how you get the best deals. That's how you get the best rates. It's not what you know, but how you know. I could tell you all about how to walk into the dealership and do APR and this and this and that. But if you don't know the right person, you're going to get a lot of no's. You're going to get a lot of no's till you get a yes. So eventually you'll figure it out. But if you know somebody who's going to give you the yes and get you what you need, just go to them. Loyalty. Rock with the people that rock with you. Look out for the people that look out. Refer people to that person. You never know. Your kids might want a car one day. Your mama might need a car one day. Your cousin might need a car. People like that is good to know. People with cars, because the car industry is fucking crooked in a way. Like, you could get finesse easily. So I got on here to let you know that whenever you have a car, right, you can refinance your loan at any time. You don't have to stay with that lender. If you're in a dire situation where you need a car and you just have to settle for something, which I never suggest, but let's say you don't have a car, you have to settle for something. Okay, go to the buy here, pay here. Get their financing, whatever. They might give you a double digit, a 20%, whatever the case may be. Hey, Glenda, how you doing? They might give you a really bad APR rate, but let's say you come meet somebody like me. You're like, look, I want to get my credit together, whatever the case may be. All right, I'll tell you 6 to 9 months. You got to make the commitment, maybe a year. All right, we do your credit. We take all the negative off. We build to it. And then you go to your credit union and you tell your credit union that you're finna take out a loan on this car that you already have financed. And you know what? They look up your credit union, pull your bank, look it up. They're like, oh, okay, we see you have a 720. Well, you know what? We can refinance this loan for you. And you know what? What we can do is give you an APR rate of 7%. Now, you just went from 21% to 7%. So you just lowered your costs. Now, you had to make an investment. You had to make a commitment to getting your credit right. And then you saved yourself thousands of dollars. So when people say it's not worth it or it's cost too much, they're not looking at the big value of things. So I like to explain things like this because when I take something so complex and put it in layman's terms, I want you to have the power or the knowledge to make the decision on your own. Like, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just educating you. Everything that I've learned and experienced, I'm bringing it right here and breaking it down so that you can apply it, right? So if you know that you have a really bad APR rate, but you're in need of a car, your goal should be to refinance that car note. It might be a headache to do, but you're going to be so happy and you're going to thank yourself and you're going to have more money coming into you versus going out to those people, the lenders, because that's where your money keep going, right? This is how you stay poor, by giving too much of your money away. Somebody might say, well, whatever, I just keep 21% APR. That's why you're still broke. That's why you don't have money to invest. I'm gonna say it like it is. When you have a high interest rate, you're giving more money to the lender. That's taking money away from you. This concept in the Richest Man in Babylon, I recommend everybody to read this. Like, this is a staple. If you're trying to get into your bag, trying to elevate financially, the Richest Man in Babylon will teach you, pay yourself first. Your idea should always be, how can I keep majority of my income in my household? Not, I need a car, whatever, I'll get what I can and pay the interest rate. No, that's not ideal. You will be crawling out of a hole. And we don't want you to crawl out of a hole. We want you to be already on top of a building, goddamn it. So, interest rate, APR is important because the big scheme of things, it keeps money in your household. So the lower APR, the better. If you go somewhere to a buy here, pay here, and you end up with a car note that's like $600, $700, $800, you can afford it. Same thing applies. Go refinance that loan. If you know in about 3 years you're not going to be able to afford $600 a month, you probably should go refinance that loan, right? And now, since you've paid down on it, the principal is lower, it might be easier to get a lower payment. Now, some people might argue, well, you still might end up paying more for the car over time. Yeah, that depends on the APR rate. So if you have a 72-month loan with a 13% APR rate, and you pay halfway through it, and you go refinance it, and you get an APR rate of 6%, but it's still like a 72-month loan, you have to do the math to see, like, okay, how much money am I losing? Am I saving? Is this worth it? Because 72-month loan might be too long, but you might not need 72 months to pay it off. You might pay it off in 56 months, but you just need the wiggle room right now to increase your current cash flow. So thinking strategically, doing things like that, like you have free will. Just like you have free will to do as you want, it's the same thing with your money. You don't have to do things the way that everybody says you have to do them, right? If you get the car note, you don't have to keep the car note forever. You could go get another car note with a different lender of your choice. You might not have been able to do that then, but you have the ability to do it now because you repaired your credit and you built it. So you're not stuck. You just have to think strategically. You have to be willing to make the commitment in the investment. And you got to be willing to ask questions and not be so prideful about your situation, because a lot of people have their pride and identities attached to their finances. So when they are approaching people talking about money, they are speaking from a scarcity mindset or a trauma response. When really, if you speaking up about your finances, that shows a lot of power, because that means you know that something needs to be done. So that speaks volumes. Anytime somebody approaches me about their financial journey, whatever it is, credit, taxes, whatever situation they in, it's always like, I commend them. Because, like, that takes a lot of audacity to come and do this. Most people, they just stick with it, whatever. I'll just, whatever I got, whatever, I just go with it. But not everybody is willing to actually put themselves out there, put their pride to the side, get some help, and get exactly what they deserve in life. Like, you don't have to settle for that. I didn't get my first car until I was about 21. And it was because I didn't want to get got. Like, my mom always taught me that credit, like, I was always taught credit from a fear-based mentality, which was probably a gift and a curse, because that fear kept me away from, like, getting a lot of credit cards or getting into debt in my early years. But as a young adult, when I started to learn about certain things, I actually had the privilege of taking my time. I didn't have to go get a car, so I had time to learn about APR and what a car note was. And when I did go get my car note, I just recently paid my car off early. I paid it off 6 months early. I had an APR rate of 8%, which I really wanted to be like a 3, but I felt like at the time, if I did refinance it, I'd probably be paying more for the car. So I did end up paying it 6 months early, so I saved some money. But for me personally, paying off that car was a really big, paying it off with no late payments, 100%, 72-month loan, not one single late payment. When I say late payment, I mean 30 days or more. I never had a late payment on that account. When I say late payment, I never went more than 10 days or 30 days. So it's possible. And I'm a single mom, and my life done changed a lot over the last couple of years. Like, the 5 years that I've had this loan or had that loan, my life has changed a lot. My finances went up and down. I was unemployed, employed. I was a full-time employee. I was a full-time student at one time. I was a full-time entrepreneur at one time. Like, my life changed a lot. But one thing I know for sure is that my credibility was important. So no matter what I was going through in life, at the end of the day, I'm not going to go tell this lender, look, I don't know, I had a baby, so I couldn't pay. Like, that's not the, I don't make excuses, right? I find solutions. That's why it's called Mogul Solutions, because it's like, you always got to think, like, what is your highest self capable of doing? What is your highest potential? That's what I think of when I think of a mogul. Like, the highest version of me, the best version of me, what does that look like for me? And what does that solution look like for me? Right? How do I find a solution for the highest version of myself? Where do I see myself at, and how can I achieve that right now? What steps can I take? Versus like, well, this is just what it is. This is what I get. I don't know. It's hard. I don't know. They did me dirty. They gave me a 20% APR. You let them give you that. You let them. You walked off the lot. You signed the paper. You did all that. So you take accountability for the APR rate that you have. And for those of us who just were in situations where they had no choice, in that situation, you still have to take accountability and be like, look, I had to get this car right now, but I know this is a bad deal, so let me get my credit together. Let me go refinance this loan. Sometimes banks, when you go refinance your auto loan, banks will ask you for references. They'll not only your credit, they'll ask you for references. They'll ask for proof of employment. So you got to be on top of your shit. You can't fall off. You can't fall off as an adult. You don't have that privilege. You don't have the privilege to fall off if you're broke. You got to be really getting to it more than anybody else, because you can't even afford it. Right? Being able to fall off, that's a luxury. Being able to say, look, I don't got it. That's a luxury. Because even with the people who say they don't got it, they got it. They just saying they don't got it, and they body to get up and go work so they could take an extra day off, an extra week or 2 or 3 or 4 without it impacting their finances. If your life is not set up that way, you got to be real with yourself. You got to figure out a way to get yourself in a better position financially. And that's what I come here to do and help you achieve. So if you got an interest rate, a high interest rate, or if you have a high car note, or if you just feel like you got a really bad deal on a car note, consider refinancing your loan. This is your sign. Or if you have a lease vehicle and you want to actually keep the car, you're like, you know what, this is not a bad car, I want to keep it. I can see myself driving this or giving this away to my kid or whatever. Maybe you should refinance the lease right now and try to get a lower payment or whatever the case may be. But if you don't do anything, not doing anything is still a choice, right? That's a luxury to have. To not do anything and just act like everything is okay is a luxury, and it's still a choice, and your future self will get the result of what you're doing today. So I kind of dragged this out, but I hope this helps somebody who watches this later on. I'm going to keep this post up. I think the live videos get deleted after 30 days anyway, so Check it out when you can, and let me know if you have questions in the comments, or shoot me a DM, whatever case may be. Book a 101 if you want to get some help with refinancing your loan. You want to find a lender, I can send you suggestions, and I can help you with the process. So I'll talk to y'all soon. Y'all, peace and prosperity. Happy Thursday. Let's get it.